Meeting to order, please. Mr. Tibbs, would you lead us in an invocation?
Let us pray. Gracious, loving, and merciful God, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you, Lord, for the blessing of this beautiful weather. And Heavenly Father, as we come off of Memorial Day, we take an opportunity now to pause for just a moment to honor the service of those men and women in our military who gave their lives preserving our freedoms. We ask you now, Lord, for a blessing on this board. Give them wisdom in their deliberations. Be with them tonight. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Vice Chairman DeHaven, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Stand, face the flag for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is our very first meeting for our brand-new county administrator.
Yes, it is. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Would you like to address the adoption of the agenda? I don't know if our customs have been well explained to you or not. If they have, that's good. If they're not, then interrupt me if I go that way and you were not expecting.
I don't know of any changes to the agenda. I would suggest you might want to add tab C to your consent agenda adoption. That gives me the authority to sign checks, which hopefully nobody has any problems with.
We'll do that next under consent agenda.
Okay?
All right, we have no changes to the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved, Mr.
A
Chairman.
motion by Supervisor DeHaven. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Supervisor Lofton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The agenda is adopted. Consent agenda, we've already had a recommendation to add C to B and D. Anything else?
No, sir.
That's staff's recommendation. What's your pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Supervisor Hess. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Tabs B, C, and D are therefore consent agenda. Citizen comments. Did anyone sign up?
No, sir.
Board of Supervisors comments. Are there any? Moving on, county officials, committee appointments. Now I got to catch up with myself. Parks and Recreation, Gainsborough. Are we ready?
Yes, sir. You have in your packet an information sheet, and I'd like to recommend and nominate Natalie Jeremetta to the Parks and Rec Commission.
All right, we have a nomination motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Supervisor Lofton. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ms. Natalie Meta, is that correct?
Yes.
Is hereby appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Historic Resources Advisory, Stonewall, are we ready?
No, sir.
Lord Fairfax Community College Board, we probably have not done any work on this. See, she is up 6:30, so we need to be about this. So let's try to round up some candidates. Development Impact Model Committee, you have a recommendation from the Top of Virginia Building Association, Mr. Petler and Mr. Lemieux. What's the board's pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Supervisor DeHaven to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Supervisor Fisher. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. See, we
Go
have
ahead.
the planning director here. Is that the recommendations for next year, or are we still waiting word from Top of Virginia?
We got word yesterday, so that would be the recommendation for next year's panel.
Anything else? Ready to vote? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Mr. Petler and Mr. Lemieux are appointed to the Development Impact Model Committee. Next on the agenda, as I get past consent, Human Resources Committee report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you'll hold on just one second. As you can see in the committee report, we have three items that we considered. The two items that we were to bring forward for action, I'd like to defer until the next Board of Supervisors meeting. The other members of the board, other than those who serve on the committee, did not see the recommendations until the agenda went out late Friday, so most of them didn't see it until this week. And I've had a couple of questions asked about the restructuring of these positions in the Fire and Rescue Department, and would like to defer those until we can get some answers to those questions, defer that till next month. So there are no action items. I have no motions to make for the Human Resources Committee report tonight.
Does that conclude your report?
Yes, sir.
All right, next is a public hearing, 2015-2020 Agricultural and Forestry District update. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is the 2015-2020 Agricultural and Forestry District update. This is done every 5 years, so just to give the board and you, Mr. Chairman, a kind of an overlay of what the ag and forestry districts are. Then we'll go into the review all the 8 districts that are currently in Frederick County. The ag and forestry district overview is a voluntary agreement between landowners in Frederick County that no non-agricultural uses will take place in the district. It also provides for stronger protection for farmers and farmland than traditional zoning. It also provides that agricultural will be maintained in these districts as long as the districts are still in force. Any land use actions must be taken into account these districts because the districts become part of the comprehensive policy plan. So if the ag districts tonight, before you get approved, the 8 districts that we have, they become part of our comprehensive policy plan of Frederick County to the year 2020. So if any land use action comes near these districts, that has to be taken into consideration. It provides for keeping the rural character of the county and lessens impacts on county services. If a landowner voluntarily comes in our ag and forestal districts, that landowner will not subdivide other than for a family subdivision, which is allowed by the state code. So it lessens a lot of the impacts on county services. And finally, it protects productive agricultural and forest land. The ag and forestal districts were started in Frederick County in 1980, and it actually started with 1 district. Currently, there are 8 districts that include 218 parcels totaling 11,425.93 acres. This renewal tonight also includes 13 new parcels totaling of 522.63 acres, and that's part of that 11,000 number I earlier referenced. There are 46 parcels, though, that were taken out of the ag district for a total of 87.92 acres total. The Agricultural District Advisory Committee, or ADAC, met on April 20th, 2015, and reviewed these 8 districts for renewal. There are 8 districts for renewal. The Agricultural and Forestry District districts are renewed again every 5 years. The ADAC, which reviews them, voted to remove any parcels in the district were less than 5 acres that were not in land use. This action was to protect adjoining property owners from overlapping building setbacks. As you recall, if you're adjacent to a ag and forestal district, you have a greater setback. So for instance, if I have a smaller parcel, let's say less than 2 acres, it's outside the ag district, but I'm next to a parcel in the ag district that's less than 2 acres, and I want to build on that property adjacent to the property that I own, the greater setbacks kick in, and it may take that right of that property owner who's adjacent away. The Planning Commission recommend their approval of these 8 districts at their meeting on May 20th, 2015. Mr. Chairman and board members, if I can turn your attention to the map to your left, on the screen to your left, that's basically all your ag districts currently now in Frederick County, all 8 of them. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will start on the reviewing the 8 ag districts, and we can go to the first ag district that we're reviewing tonight is the Auburn Agricultural and Forest District. This district is generally located west of Route 37, is north and south of 522 in the Auburn Rural Community Center. It's on a map to your left. It is located in the Gainesboro Magisterial District, and there's currently 13 parcels in this district with a total of 1,011.50 acres. The next district up for review tonight is the Apple Pie Ridge Agricultural and Forestry District. This district is generally located along Payne Road, to the north, Welltown Road to the east, Apple Pie Ridge to the west, and Glen Dobbin Road to the south. Is located in both the Gainsborough and Stonewall Magisterial District. It currently has 32 parcels located within it, with a total of 887.59 acres. The third district for review tonight is the Double Church Agricultural and Forestal District. This district runs along Double Church Road, Centerburg Road, Grimm Road, and Weiss Mill Lane. It's located in the Opequon District. It currently has 17 parcels for a total of 923.16 acres in the district. The fourth district tonight is the Green Springs Agricultural and Forestal District. This district runs along Glaze Orchard Road to the south and Green Springs Road to the east. It's in the Gainsborough Magisterial District. It currently has two parcels totaling 385.63 acres within the district. The next district for review tonight is the North of Peckett Agricultural and Forestry District. This district runs along Old Charlestown Road. It's bounded in the east by the Opequon Creek and Slate Lane to the west. It's located in the Stonewall Magisterial District. It currently has 5 parcels with 407.48 acres, assigned to the district. The next district is the Red Bud Agricultural and Forestry District. This district is generally located along Red Bud Road. Mr. Chairman, most of this district is kind of spread out, but the heart of it is along Red Bud Road. As you can see, it spreads that the district. It's located in the Stonewall Magisterial District. It has 36 parcels assigned to it for a total of 985.59 acres. The next district for review tonight is the South Frederick Agricultural Forestry District. And this is the largest district we have in Frederick County. This district is located along Cedar Creek Road, Middle Road, Marlboro Road, and Heights Road. It's located in the Back Creek Magisterial District. There are a total of 93 parcels assigned to this district for a total of 5,845.90 acres. And the last district for review tonight is the South Timber Ridge Agricultural and Forestal District. This district is located along Hollow Road to the north, Hughes Road, and Gold's Orchard Road to the east. It is in the Gainsborough Magisterial District. It has 16 parcels assigned to it for a total of 979.08 acres. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the review or status review of the 2015-2020 agricultural forestal districts. I'll answer any questions at this time that you or any board members may have, or try to answer any questions, I should say, that you or any board members may have on the update of the agricultural and forestal districts. Staff is looking for a recommendation on all 8 of these districts. Thank you.
Questions for staff?
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Hess.
All of the adjoining property owners were notified of this renewal process.
The adjoining property owners, yes, were notified.
Mr. Chairman, on the 46 parcels that were removed from, that was the total of all the districts, am I correct?
That is correct.
All right, so what was the criteria for those 46 parcels being removed?
If they were less than 5 acres and not in land use,
Okay?
they were removed.
So the key to it is less than 5 acres, not in land use.
That is correct. If you were in land use less than 5 acres and were still, continual part of that district, you weren't touched. The reasoning for that, as pointed out earlier, Mr. Wells, was that if you have, you run into an overlapping building setback line where you have to, if you're a smaller acreage next to an ag district, let's say, for instance, say your ag district land was 1 acre. And your property is adjoining that, or your adjacent property owner, let's say you're at 2 acres. You have to maintain a 200-foot setback in
The
ag district. Yes, sir.
Other questions?
One other question. You'd confirm for me, land use is not dependent on whether or not a piece of property is in the ag district or not.
That is correct.
Other questions? Thanks, sir. We'll now conduct a public hearing on the 2015-2020 Agricultural and Forestal District update. This public hearing is to consider the renewal of the Alban, Apple Pie Ridge, Double Church, Green Springs, North Apecan, Redbud, South Frederick, and South Timber Ridge districts. The renewal of these districts will establish a total of 11,425.93 acres within the Agricultural and Forestal District program for the ensuing 5-year period. Properties that are incorporated into an agricultural and forestal district are guaranteed certain protection as specified in Section 15.2-4300 of the Code of Virginia. Is there anyone here who would like to speak either for or against the renewal of these districts? So please come forward, give your name, magisterial district, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
My name is Paul Anderson. I'm in Back Creek District. I have some problems with this. I, along with Gary DeOhms and 4 others, set up the first ag district. And he made comments about how good it was, and it is. It protects agriculture. When we set the ag district up, we did it to support agriculture and protect agriculture. We had some small landowners who was not interested in taxes. They wanted to join the district for the protection they got and to support agriculture. There's some of them been in the district ever since it was formed. A 200-foot setback. I think I was on a committee when that was discussed, and it was set up at 200 feet for orchards and 100 feet for ag land. Somewhere along the line, I was told it's 200 feet for everything. I don't know when that changed. I asked my supervisor to check into it for me and see what happened to it. There is no requirement to be taxes for tax exempt status to be an ag district, and I think it's a little wrong to force people out because they don't have the 5 acres. I sat on a committee for the county some time ago to look at the long-range planning for Frederick County, and I sat on it for agriculture. And one of the main things we brought out is agriculture is going to change in Frederick County. It's going to change drastically. You're going to start seeing small acreages, like 1 or 2 acres of high-intensity vegetables, things like that. It's going to make a heck of a lot of money than when you're 100 acres of cattle. Now they're kind of pushing that back the other way. One of the problems I had, I have a piece of property that's in a trust. Been in agri district for a long time. We never got any notification at all that was going out. The only way I found out it was in here last week. Somebody just happened to say, you've got a piece of property that's going out. And so I don't know how many other landowners were never notified. The setbacks, I'm a little concerned. I don't know how that happened. But as I said, the district was set up to protect agriculture, and you have a lot of landowners that are small acreage. They are using it for agriculture. It's not like they got a house on it, and it's in the agriculture district. It's been mowed for grass, been just mowed for lawns. They are being used for agriculture because I've got a couple of them that I'm using. I make hay on and run cattle on, and I think this is something that needs to be looked at just a little bit longer. And whatever you all decide in the long run, we all have to live with. But I think it might be a little hasty right now. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Sandra Rittenauer, and I'm from the Pekin District. And my family has land in the Double Church Agricultural and Forestal District. As a matter of fact, our 3 parcels for our farm make up the largest amount of acreage in that ag district. I, unfortunately, only have 3.67 acres that has been accepted into that ag district when we entered the whole thing into the ag district, and we were very glad to be in it. I'm not interested in land use. I think the criteria is perhaps not the best criteria to use for people who want to have land in the ag district. As Mr. Anderson said, we want to support agriculture. When I look out my front door, my family's 375 acres are in front of me and to one side. Behind me is another farm. They're not in the ag district, but it's a farm on the other two sides. And I don't believe that they're the ones that are worried about a 100-foot setback. So I think what happened is we gave up a sure thing for an if. I think if someone decides that they want to build something is the time when you address that on a one-by-one basis, that you don't go in and change something that works, is good, and has been good for the county because we don't use services. I'm at least half a mile from the bus stop, and when my kids were little, they didn't come to my house and to pick up my children. So, I'm a good bargain. We're a good bargain, even if we are small landowners. So where's the due process? Because I dare say that none of the 46 people. Earlier today, I was going to say a very small percentage. Now I don't think any of them got any information that that the powers that be had decided to take them out of the ag district. Because I know I did not. And everyone I've talked to since did not get any notification. I think that's wrong. I think that it should be done by case, and I think that the letter that was sent out was a very generic letter saying that there were going to be changes, and having been in the ag district for a few rounds here, it didn't look any different to me, and I thought, great, I don't want to make any changes, so this is okay. If it hadn't been for the newspaper the day after last week's hearing with the Planning Commission, I would not have had a red flag, and I wouldn't be here tonight because nobody told me that my parcel was taken out. And I think that needs to be corrected. I think you need to stop the process, and I think you need to go back and make sure that all 46 people get a letter in great detail explaining that they were taken out, and give them a chance to have something to say about it, not just the few people that may want someday to build a house on their piece of land. Take it case by case. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I need to abstain from this discussion. I own a parcel in an ag district.
Okay. Staff would come back up, please. I will bet that there is no lack of support for the ag districts on the board. There is concern over the situation we find ourselves in. And some have said we need to pause, stop, and fix. Staff might be saying they'd rather approve what needs to be approved and work on something, including some applications. But could you clarify what staff has been thinking so that the board might take it into consideration?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Currently, right now, we have 3 more larger parcels. After we advertised for public hearing and after we had sent out that the Ag and Forestry Committee through our the Agricultural Committee ADAC met, they want to come in a ag district. So what staff would prefer, if it was with the board's indulgence, was to go ahead, because we're at the 5-year mark with these ag districts, approve these ag districts as is. We could address in another 2 or 3 months, I'm going to have a meeting anyway or ADAC is going to have to set up to look at through the 3 property owners that were looking to come in, and if the board wants to direct staff to correct anything, add or subtract, we can take that definitely consideration back to the ADAC and say, here's what we're looking at.
So let me continue to ask questions so that we all understand the options. If we wanted to return to where it was, even if that was not in compliance with the written ordinance, would that take a ordinance change?
We're talking 2 things on the ordinance, just to be clear on the setbacks. I think that was brought up here through both public hearings, where that was brought up at the Planning Commission and tonight. As you recall, when we did the RA study and we changed some of the regulations and stuff in the rural areas, we added a 200-foot setback to orchard and ag districts. What that was the county of Frederick saying, yes, we respect an ag and forestal district.
Date was,
I'd have to look in the zoning ordinance, to be honest with you. I'm going to guess maybe.
what about the,
7 era.
2000, yeah, it was around 2007. 2007, 07.
what about the need to be in land use to be in the ag district?
That is one,
Always been there?
you don't have to be in land use to be in the ag district. As you know, Commissioner of Revenue sets that policy up. That is one of the benefits if you want to get into in the ag district is land use. You qualify for land use, but it's not a requirement.
So what kicked the 46 parcels out? I thought it was because they were not in land use.
They weren't in land use at the time in the size. So if you had a 1 acre parcel and you were in land use and you're in ag district, that wasn't even
Correct.
mentioned. If you were not in land use, the 46 parcel that you're talking about, Mr. Chairman, if you weren't in land use, you're under that 5 acre threshold. ADAC reviewed it and said, hey, to protect the adjoining property.
Why, though?
Because it was the adjoining property owner to the ag district had a greater setback put on it if they wanted to build.
You're going to have to keep working here because it's not abundantly clear to me yet. Is it abundantly clear to everybody else?
If I could offer a little clarity, Mr. Chairman.
Speak up.
One of the questions came up, over the past couple of years, we've had a couple Board of Zoning Appeal variance requests for properties that were adjacent to ag districts and orchards, and they had to pay their fees, $750 to go through the process to hope to be able to build on their properties. So as we went into this update in December, we learned of another property that was caught in that situation. So we said, maybe we need to look at this. And what we found is, in working with Commission Revenue, we found that we had 46 parcels under 5 acres in size that want to be in the ag district, and quite honestly, they were probably already in the ag district. But because they're not in land use, because they are in the ag district, everything next to them has to stay 200 feet away from the property lines. And as we further dug into it, we found that a majority of those parcels actually have houses on them. So by putting them in the ag district, you're actually creating a greater buffer against somebody's house, which is further impacting an adjacent property owner's right to use their property. So the Ag District Committee said, well, I don't think that's appropriate. Let's pull those 46 properties out. Now, I can tell you that, as Mr. Chairman said, we are going to have to reconvene in a couple months just because we have a couple additional properties that put their hands up and they want to participate. So we can go through these 46 parcels one by one at the committee level and figure out, is this appropriate in or out? What's the impact? Because the intent of the Ag District is to promote and preserve agricultural activities. It's not to impact an adjacent property owner so that somebody can have a greater setback from their house. So we want to make sure that we're designing this appropriately. But I think because we'd like to have action tonight on this package, because quite honestly, the Ag Districts expired a couple days ago. So we want to renew them. And then over the next couple months, we can go through the 46 properties. We can look at them one by one and let the committee further analyze whether a 200-foot buffer from that small parcel, if it's in the Ag District, is appropriate.
Okay,
We don't want to burden adjacent property owners if it's not necessary.
Okay, one more question. When you do this, if that's what comes to be, will you involve the Agricultural District Advisory Committee?
Yes.
And they'll want on case-by-case review?
Yeah,
Have their recommendation?
Yeah, my intent is, just as we came today with their recommendation, my intent is to go back to that group, and we'll go through those 46 parcels so that committee is well aware of what the recommendation is, and whatever recommendation they come up with, we would certainly bring back to you. My guess is it's probably a 4-month-out process before you see it again.
And they knew that 46 parcels had come out?
They knew, yeah. The Ag District Committee met twice this year. They met in February. They discussed this potential policy, and then they met in April and formalized the recommendation that you have tonight.
And before I let everybody else have a turn, how good a job did we do in notification?
We notify, from a legal perspective, we have advertisements in the paper. We have yellow signs throughout the county, throughout the ag districts, and we actually sent letters to everybody adjacent to the proposed agricultural district. We did not send letters to the people in the ag district because they had filled out paperwork saying, I wanted to participate.
So 46 people did not know what happened to them?
And quite honestly, the people that submitted their interest in being in the ag district, they weren't told yes or no. They expressed interest in being in the ag district, and we're going through the process to see if at the end of the day, the board's going to accept that request.
Okay.
So they
Other
weren't notified.
questions from anybody? Go ahead, Supervisor Lofton.
Mr. Chairman, attending those agriculture district committees, it was discussed pretty thoroughly. One of the, I'd say, negative ramifications of the smaller parcels being in the ag district was it could actually render a buildable lot unbuildable because of the setbacks that are imposed by the surrounding property being in the ag district. So that was one of the downsides of the smaller parcels being in the ag district. I do agree that there probably ought to be on a case-by-case basis a look at those parcels to see how they impact the neighboring property, because it could be that there's an actual take of somebody's property without due process. And so that was one of the downsides I saw to the smaller parcels being in the agricultural district. So I agree with staff. We could go ahead and act upon these districts that are put before us tonight, and then let the ADAC committee work through all those parcels, plus the other requests they've gotten over the coming months, and resolve these issues, I think, to most people's satisfaction. I don't know if you'll satisfy everybody, but at least it will have been given due process. Those people would have been notified, and we will have seen the results of that after the process is done.
Okay. Is it not possible for a small lot to be adjacent to a large parcel in the ag district and be rendered unbuildable because
Yes.
of the large parcel? So why is not the same issue?
A lot of the smaller parcels are not being used for agricultural use. The larger parcels you would expect are farmland or orchards. The smaller parcels, you could have an acre and a half parcel where someone has a house on it. It's in the ag district. Someone could have another parcel of 2 acres right next to it and surround it on 1 or 2 sides. It would render that parcel next to it unbuildable, unless, as Mr. Lawrence said, that you want to put down the money and go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and have them say, yes, we're going to remove that 200 feet to back to whatever it is to make your lot buildable. So that puts an expense on the adjoining property owner that probably shouldn't be there.
But I still would be in that situation if I had a 1 or 2 acre lot and it was next to a 900 acre parcel in the ag district. I'm still in the same fix.
If it's an RA, right.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Supervisor Fisher?
I think there's a bigger issue here for me tonight, that the fact that 46 parcels, the folks didn't get notified. A solution for me would be that we approve the existing agricultural and forestal district as they are, including the 46 parcels that were removed. And then the analysis can be done, and the people, if they then are going to be removed, get proper notification, which I don't believe occurred. Well, it didn't occur. I just, without them being notified, I think it's maybe we comply with all the ordinances. We've talked about that before, that sometimes we need to over-communicate. I don't think that was done. So would there be a problem with approving the ag and forestal districts as they were, and let these 46 parcels then be, as you're going to review individuals, review them then, and if they need to come out, then we can properly address the people? Is that a solution?
A question of staff.
I think that's the staff recommendation.
No, from a legal perspective, we didn't, everything we've advertised indicated these 46 parcels were not part of the ag district.
Right.
So I don't think we legally can include them in the district at this point without re-advertising.
Well, then my suggestion, Mr. Chairman, is we wait till the next meeting. They're already out. To me, it's just something wrong with this process.
Yep.
Anybody else like to speak?
That was
Supervisor Hess.
sort of my question. We said that the district had already expired. What's the downside, or what are the repercussions if we wait another 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, whatever it takes?
It's entirely up to you. Yeah, obviously, it takes.
Are there any ramifications to anybody?
I think we've had districts since 1980, so we'd hope to continue, and this was the first meeting to get the district renewed at. So it's a stigma. You know, we've continuously had ag districts, and we were hoping to continue to have them. We can't get it to you as, it takes a month for us to do the legal advertisement, and with your summer schedule, we wouldn't get back to you until at least July, because we can't get you in 2 weeks' time to satisfy the legal requirements. But
If
we can
that-
do as you please.
If that were the
obviously.
course, instead of being 2 days late in meeting our obligations, we'd be 32 days late in meeting our obligations.
You'd be about 6 weeks late. It'd be July before we could get it to you to satisfy legal requirements.
So that's where we are now, we'd just be later.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if in fact we wait to take any action on this and the ag districts have expired, what implications does that have with the setbacks? Somebody come in and build a house someplace because there's no setback?
Correct. As of today, there are no agricultural district setbacks because the district expired. So renewing the district today implements the 200-foot setback.
So someone sitting on a lot that could be buildable without the setbacks, they can come in and get a building permit within that time period, and there's nothing we can do?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Wells.
question for staff. 46 that are out, were in. They have been in for quite some time, am I correct?
That is correct.
It's not like they've been there for at least the last 5 years.
That is correct.
And the setback was in 2007,
That's correct.
200-foot setback.
That's correct.
So from 2007 till today, 8 years, we've lived with that. Now, in 5 years, they've definitely been in there since then, maybe more. And now we've decided that we need to make an adjustment for the property owner on the far side who might like to build a house, and it's not fair to them to have a 200-foot setback on their property. So I'm having a tough time with the guy that has been in the program and done all these things, and all of a sudden, not out of the clear blue, but just all of a sudden, we have a lot of interest in someone wanting to build houses, and the 200-foot setback is precluding them from doing that. That's just a question.
I don't think we have a lot of interest. I think the concern was expressed to us, and we started digging into it, and that's when we said, oh, well, maybe we ought to evaluate it.
I guess my question is, it's been there for a long, long time. Why did we stir the pot?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Mr. Chairman,
What's the reason for, it seemed to be working, and now we're having a big discussion over it, and if there's not a lot of interest in it. I don't
Mr.
know.
Tierney, did you like to speak?
well, I was going to try and offer perhaps a solution given the predicament that we find ourselves. We've advertised, we either don't renew the district tonight and all of the parcels that were in the ag district in effect are no longer in an ag district, or we approve them as has been advertised, so you've at least protected the bulk of the districts and kept them intact, with an understanding that we're going to go back and re-examine these 40-some-odd parcels that we haven't put back in and get it right for the next time, which would be 6 weeks out. I would offer that adopting it as is maybe the lesser of the two evils at this point.
Well, I think you've summarized it well, as I've heard. The only thing I would say is perhaps staff took a direction that didn't sit well with the board when it got here, and we ought to try to not do that next time, because we probably would have preferred you to have attempted the resolution a different way. Lesson learned. I do feel we're in a situation now where we can't put them in without an advertisement. So I think legal counsel would agree with that. So I think Mr. Tierney has explained our two options quite well, and slightly myself, I'm torn between the two. I'd like to hear more supervisors express an opinion. Probably I am closer to Mr. Fisher than Mr. Lawson on this one, but let's talk. Let's figure out what we're going to do here and how to address our situation the best we can.
You say legal notice. Is there any way we can just send 46 individual letters to landowners?
It has to do with the advertisement of the subject material for the meeting and its expansion thereof rather than a restriction thereof. And so we would have to re-advertise a action for this board in the newspaper and go through that process. That's the legal notice of the meeting where you would adopt it.
And that's where the 6 weeks
Yeah.
time period comes in?
Yeah, or some of their parts thereof.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with Mr. Tierney's assessment of this. That's probably best, that since this has been advertised this way, that we go ahead and make our vote on these agricultural districts that are put before us, with the understanding that staff will continue the process, notify those others, plus anyone else who wants to come to the district, take that through the process, review those if need be on a case-by-case basis, but make sure everybody's been notified and that everybody has due process in the future, and then come back. I think it was a total of, 87 acres or something?
Yes.
Of those 46 parcels. So I understand how that might impact someone, but I think that, in my mind, Mr. Tierney's method of proceeding through this would fit best with my thinking.
I'd just like to see the 46 people that are out have the opportunity, due process, notification, and I don't mean just send them a letter and they stay out. The 46 people get notified, 46 people are met with, and if all 46 get back in, great. If not, then each of them had the opportunity, but I don't want them to have to wait another 5-year period to do that. And maybe that's the best I can hope for at this time, since we are where we are, but I want to be clear that
Legal counsel
we're
would say
protecting the 46 people.
we couldn't put them in there tonight if we wanted to.
Right.
So,
That's where I'm at. Okay.
anybody else?
Yes. What are the provisions for adding a parcel 2 years from now? Somebody comes in and wants to add a parcel to the forestal district. I think we had one here within the last year. We had a couple of parcels, I think, added.
Yes, sir. What usually happens is after, if whatever happens tonight, it gets approved, let's say a year down the road, we have someone that's adjacent to an ag and forestal district that meets the qualification to come in. Those qualifications are that, they're closer within a mile of the ag district. We'll hold the ADAC, we'll get the ADAC together to review it, bring it through the process, planning commission and the board.
Okay, so you say it has to be adjacent to existing?
Or new.
Or new.
Yeah, or
Okay.
new. And the minimum for a new district, if you all recall, has to be a minimum of 200 acres. So if you had 200 acres, wanted to start your own agricultural and forestal district, the ADAC would review it, and it would come up through the chain.
Okay, and then conversely, what's the process for a property to be removed from an agricultural district?
It's the same process. They come before the ADAC reviews it, comes to the planning commission, it comes to the board of supervisors for removal.
Regardless of the 5-year period?
That's correct.
So it can be done in the interim on a parcel-by-parcel basis?
Sir.
So even if we didn't clarify what this process would be in terms of notification and hearings and whatever else needed to be done for these 46 parcels, they still have the option of coming in tomorrow and saying, I want my property in the ag district?
That's correct.
So I heard you talk about new ag districts, and I heard you talk about additions and deletions there too. These 46 properties, or any parts of them that, should we approve what's before us tonight, that come in, they would have to go through the planning commission and up to us?
That is correct. I do want to point out, Mr. Chairman, we still, as I pointed early in the presentation, we have 2 applications before us, when I say before us in the planning department right now, that missed the public hearing and all that, had heard about the ag district, as Mr. Lawrence pointed out, with the signage and stuff, and have contacted staff to come into the ag and forestal districts. So that what I'm saying is that we're going to have to review that anyway. So
Now, if we were to force you to re-advertise with the previous district, that also would have to go back to the planning commission, correct?
That's correct.
So we can't even shorten the thing up anyway, at this point.
At this point, no, sir.
That's frustrating.
Other than getting it before the planning commission as quickly as possible?
That is correct.
All right, any other questions? We'll go for a motion.
Is there any cost at all to the 46 people?
There's no cost at all to anybody. It's the county. We absorb the costs of creating the ag districts. We pay for the legal cost.
And adding?
It's always our cost. We don't charge the applicants who want to participate.
I know I've talked to constituents and hopefully we can work this out. I wish we had gone a different route. And I'm ready to vote.
Yeah.
Supervisor Fisher?
For staff, to review 46 parcels, how long do you think that's going to take?
It's an ag, we're going to take it to an ADAC meeting, so we just have to schedule the ADAC.
It's not going to be, I guess, is it going to be a short process, or it's going to take months?
No, it's probably 2 to 3 weeks to get the ADAC committee together, get them the information, get a recommendation.
But how long is it going to take you to meet with these, like Mr. Lofton mentioned, you're going to meet with the 46 parcel owners. How long is it going to take you to go through that process? I'm just trying to get a time frame, because it seems like it's going to take a good bit of time.
My thought is we actually could use a similar format to what we have right now and create an agenda and hold a informal public hearing where everybody can present their case to the ADAC committee. So it'd be one meeting and just give everyone a chance.
Other questions?
I guess part of my gist here is, should we approve the district tonight, which I think we should, but should we also approve or advertise the 46 parcels to go back in until they can be evaluated to be brought out? I'm just asking the question, is there going to be a sufficient time lag here where things could happen that later you say, geez, I wish we hadn't let that time lapse occur?
From a time perspective, we can't add the 46 parcels tonight.
I understand that, but I'm saying if and part of our action tonight would be to, in 6 weeks, through the proper advertisement, put those 46 parcels back in and then review them for removal. Does that prevent things happening that we come to at a later date and say, gee, wish we'd have kept them in until we got it all reviewed? We wouldn't have wanted this to have happened.
I understand what he's asking. Do you?
If you so direct us to advertise tonight, we can do so.
Authorize the advertisement of those 46 lots to be put back in the ag district and start the meter now. That's what he's asking.
Yeah. And we could do that and get it to the planning commission mid-June and bring it back to you in July, if that's your direction.
Okay, so the answer is yes. Other questions? I want a motion here before long, see where it goes.
Gene, I like your idea. Why don't you make that into a motion?
Well, I would move we approve the agricultural and forestry district update as presented for the 2015 to 2020, and that we advertise as soon as possible to include the 46 parcels that have been removed, to put them back into the ag district
Later date.
at a later date.
Second.
Staff, is that,
Yeah, we can work with that.
we have a second by Supervisor Hessen. Discussion.
Trying to think, there was another point. Oh, yeah, the notification process. I had calls from a number of citizens who are in a property adjacent to it that received the notification and really didn't have a clue what the notification said. And I've already talked to staff about perhaps having some additional information either included in the letter or accompany that to explain to them, because they're not part of the agricultural district, they haven't followed it, so that people have a better understanding in the future what, just what it means when the district is up for renewal.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. What's the process if we follow the recommended procedure that Supervisor Fisher has proposed? What is the procedure to actually remove any districts after that? If we've held a public hearing and said we're going to put those 46 back in, obviously those people want to be in. But again, I go back to, I can cite an example where if that happens, Frederick County has basically said, we're going to render somebody's piece of property unbuildable.
Let me counter that a little bit. The more I think about it, and staff help me. If you advertise to put the 46 in, you've started the meter. When it came time to vote, you would not have to put all 46 back in, and perhaps you could have done the review by then, but you wouldn't have to start at that point with an advertisement to put them in. So it is a way to speed it up, I believe.
Okay, if that's the process, then that's fine.
Am I correct?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So to advertise 46 to go in doesn't mean that's what you do that night. Because it would be less than, it would meet legal muster. Mr.
That is correct.
But won't we have to have decided who will go in and who will get out before that public hearing? because
Yes.
we'll have to vote after that public hearing.
Yes.
So it means all 46 parcels will have to be reviewed.
Advertisement. Now, whether you'd want to get that work done before you hit the planning commission, or you'd want to reserve it for the board, that's, a staff can work that one out.
But
I would
another thing,
assume
yeah.
if they didn't have any problems on the way through and you only had problems here, this is the only place you'd have to deal with it.
But what's going to happen, maybe forgive me, bear with me here. What's going to happen if we advertise, put all 46 parcels back in, and after review, we find out that only 35 should be in?
That's what we'd vote on. Or you have the option to
Public
do
hearing
that.
should-
You'd have the option to do that. It would meet legal muster, because it's less than.
It's less than.
Now, if you want to put 56 in after you advertise 46, that'd be a problem. Ready to vote?
Gotcha.
No more discussion. Supervisor Ranson?
No.
Supervisor Hess?
Aye.
Supervisor Fisher?
Aye.
Supervisor Haven? You're abstaining. Supervisor Lofton?
Aye.
Supervisor Wells?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye, and the motion passes. All right. Next is the draft update of the 2015-2016 Frederick County Primary and Interstate Road Improvement Plans. Mr. Bishop? This is the one I always get confused on which one's a joint, which one's advertised, which one doesn't have to, but we treat them all at the same time. So if you could help that be abundantly clear, it would be appreciated.
That is no problem. As you noted, we are talking about the interstate primary and secondary road plans, 3 separate plans. The interstate and primary are plans that Frederick County chooses to undertake to keep VDOT apprised of our priorities. The secondary plan is state mandated by code that we coordinate with VDOT on. That's the one we have to do it on. We treat all 3 the same. This is an annual adoption, of course, and I will begin with the interstate road improvement plan. I think I say it every year, but I'll say it again. With only one interstate going through Frederick County, it's not entirely, it's not a terribly complicated plan. You'll note that the first priority, priority A, is exit 310. If you're asking yourself, why does that still show as first priority? That project's underway. Because we don't take anything out until it's done. And more importantly, too, exit 310 interchange improvements are only the first of a future 3-phase improvement plan. So you'll see exit 310 on there for many years to come yet. Beyond that, there have been really no changes to the plan with the exception of some minor text updates. For example, the previous plan noted that we really need to get underway with exit 307 in terms of the study of that and the relocation of that. However, now the language has been updated to note that that study is underway. So fairly minor update on that front. Moving on to the primary road improvement plan. For those perhaps watching that don't know, primary roadways in Frederick County in most cases are your 2-digit roads with the exception of 522, which is also a primary road. You know, we're talking about 37, 50, 17, 11, all the bigger highways, if you will, in Frederick County. Once again, this is a fairly well-established plan for us, so there are not significant changes. Route 37 remains the top priority of the Board of Supervisors until you direct us differently, with the highest priority of 37 itself being exit 310 over to Route 522. The key change or update, if you will, is a change to the Route 11 North road improvements. Previously, that 6-lane section was expected to go from the north edge of the city to Merchant Drive, Merchant Street, I believe it was. For those who don't have a road map in their heads, that's the Target Shopping Center. That has now been extended per the modeling that was done as part of the Route 11 North Land Use Plan update. That section now extends to Cedar Hill Road. When that land use plan was being done, we took the build out of the adopted of the proposed land uses, modeled them, and that's what it showed. So this is the associated road improvements with the adopted land use plan, so that's why it's in there like that. The rest of the priorities remain the same and in the same order. I always like to point out that the reference made to park and ride lots, there are dots shown along Route 7. Whenever VDOT or whomever wants to talk to us about park and ride lots, they tend to want to talk about Route 7. However, we do highlight in the text of our plan that it's important to us that you also consider locations in the northern and western parts of our county so that not just our neighbors to the east benefit from ride sharing, but we get a little benefit as well. Finally, moving on to the secondary road improvement plan, which, as I noted earlier, is the portion that is state code required. We'll begin with the Frederick County major road improvement projects. Sulphur Spring Road remains at the top of the list, as it has been for some years. However, it is moving along pretty well. We actually are in the process of reviewing right-of-way deeds for that project. VDOT has been working through the right-of-way process, not just with Frederick County, but with the private landowners along that roadway. The design is complete or nearly complete, so we do expect to see progress on that road, certainly much more than we've seen over the past decade. I'd be surprised if we don't see something going on within the next probably 18 months to 2 years, but there's still a little funding gap on there that I know they've got to close, so they won't actually kick off until they fully close that, so that's going on. The other projects on the list that are showing 1 through 8 are all projects that were already on your list. However, as we did a little bit of a cleanup exercise and made sure we get all our revenue sharing projects on there, we have added projects 9, 10, 11, Valley Mill Road, Airport Road Extension, and Snowden Bridge Boulevard, which are all revenue sharing projects. So those have been added as well. I think as you review that list, it becomes very clear how important the state revenue sharing program is to Frederick County as we go forward. Moving on to the non-hard surface road improvement projects, and I'll note that that's an update in language that came from Transportation Committee. It was pointed out rather well that as it was previously called, the hard surface road improvement program was somewhat of a misnomer, since when we talk about the program, we're actually talking about dirt roads that want to be paved or the citizens want to be paved. So part of the recommendations coming forward from Transportation Committee is that we update that language to the non-hard surface road improvement program. And as you can see, we have done that in the language. As you may have also noted, that list has not changed from last year. There's not enough money to promote new roadways, so the list remains unchanged at this time. Moving on to the unscheduled non-hard surface road improvement projects. This list also remains unchanged. There were no new projects added to the end of the list. It stands at 23 projects. The final three, Sir John's Road, Mount Olive Road, and Shockeysville Road, were all added since the last time we've had to re-rank the roadways. Per your adopted policy, when there is funding that would allow us to promote a project from this list to the scheduled list that you just saw, we would re-rank those projects to make sure we're promoting the most worthy road at that time. I would expect that those last 3 projects that I just noted, which have never been ranked, would probably not still be the last 3 projects. Maybe, but as you know, we consider many factors: traffic, safety, how many accidents they've been, whether there's a school bus on the road, how many incidences of potentially dangerous horizontal and vertical curvature, drainage situation, all factors that go into deciding which is the most worthy project when it's time to choose which get funded. With that, as you noted, this is a public hearing, and I can, of course, take any questions you may have. The Planning Commission and Transportation Committee have each reviewed these plans and have each recommended approval to this body. And we also have Mr. Steve Dameron here from VDOT if you have any questions for him.
Questions of staff or VDOT?
Yeah, quick question. Do you have any idea what the last list, the unscheduled, we're probably talking about rural rustic.
Yes, sir. We do all of these under the Rural Rustic program.
An approximate cost per mile or something or some measure for rural rustic? I know it's got to vary a lot with the condition of the road.
It does vary a lot. I'd actually have to ask Steve to come up and to speak to what the current rule of thumb is.
Could you come up?
I want to say it's 1 to 200,000 a mile. It used to be much lower.
Can you venture an answer to the question?
Well, like I said, it varies on each location, but like John says, we average, if everything goes good, we can probably do it for less than 200,000, but sometimes it goes up to 300,000 depending on any drainage issues or anything we run into. And what we've always done is money we save on projects we move forward, we just move that to the next one on the list. So any economies of scales we have, we move it on to the next project.
And that was my reason for the question was more a matter of trying to relay to citizens when I receive inquiries, let them know the scope of the problem we're faced in terms of having some non-hard surface roads improved. So, okay.
Question.
Supervisor Lofton.
Bringing the road up, when we say non-hard surface, does hard surface, how would you describe that? Was that actually asphalt pavement or prime and seal?
Prime and seal. We're treating them as rural rustics. That way we can get more mileage for the money.
Okay.
More questions? Thank you, gentlemen. We'll now conduct a public hearing on the draft update of the 2015-2016 Frederick County Primary and Interstate Road Improvement Plan, and jointly with the Virginia Department of Transportation, in accordance with Section 33.2-331 of the Code of Virginia, a public hearing to receive public comments on a proposed 6-year plan for the secondary roads for fiscal year 2016 through 2021. Is there anyone here, and on the secondary system construction budget for fiscal year 2016? Is there anyone here who would like to speak either for or against these plans? If so, please come forward, give your name, magisterial district, limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Is there anyone? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board? Supervisor DeHaven.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the 3 transportation plans as presented.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Supervisor Hess. Discussion. Hear none. Supervisor Wells.
Aye.
Supervisor Lofton.
Aye.
Supervisor DeHaven.
Aye.
Supervisor Fisher.
Aye.
Supervisor Hess.
Aye.
Supervisor Ranson.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye, and the motion passes. The plans are adopted. Next on the agenda, are there any board liaison reports?
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Fisher.
if I could, I'd like to refer to an article that was in the paper this morning, clarify a few things for the board, just as information. But I did check with staff today, and also with the bylaws of the Sanitation Authority and Robert's Rules of Order, that the candidate for the office can vote. Therefore, Mr. Mowry was elected to the chairmanship again at the Sanitation Authority. One of the comments that I had dealt with the need to hold a special meeting. Well, there is no tie vote, and therefore there is no need for any special meeting under that issue. And the other thing that in the article, it actually quotes our chairman from a recent interview about the replacements to the authority board membership. And it, quote, was an attempt to find a better way to keep peace among our various constituencies, unquote. I think that's still our goal, but I'll be honest with you, there were a few bumps on the road last night, but sometimes you got to find out where the bumps are before you can smooth them out. So I am hopeful that things will start to work better. You got new members, it takes time to get everybody worked in together, but I just wanted to clarify those several issues for you all.
Appreciate that. Other board liaison reports? All right, then next on the agenda is citizen comments, a portion of the meeting the board sets aside for citizens to address the board on any topic. If you have something you would like to discuss with the board, please come forward, give your name, magisterial district, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Anyone? Seeing no one, we'll close the citizen comment portion of the meeting. Board of Supervisors comments, are there any? I just have one. Welcome our new county administrator.
Thank you.
We are pretty much on time. She said we had short meetings from where she used to be, and I said, well, we endeavor not to be too long, but to take as long as we need to. So hopefully we won't spoil her. Any other Board of Supervisors comments?
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
We have a motion by Supervisor DeHaven to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Supervisor Fisher. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Meeting adjourned.